Welcome to the Militia Gaming Community, and guess what? We found it! They actually made it! We found Barks. It was at the store the day after I published that video. Absolutely insane. Anyways, this video is all about the 2018 Lamborghini Huracan. Let's go! Alright, welcome back to another wrong build video. If you're new to this, this is where I test all of the engines for the car to find which one is the fastest, and then we build this car for track, drag, drift, and off-road. So I'm going to be giving you 4 different builds in this video. It does take a little bit of time to go through these. However, I do want to give you the engine up front, so let's do that first. Alright, for this Lamborghini Huracan, the best engine is the 710 horsepower 3.9 liter V8. Now there are a few things that I need to finish testing. The only thing I've done so far before I filmed this video was testing the engines. So I've narrowed it down to this one engine, and now we're going to be checking a few other things, like which gearbox is the optimal gearbox for this engine. I did most of my tests, actually all of the tests with the 8-speed, but we need to test the 7 and the 6 as well, just to see if it's a little bit faster with those. In addition to that, we need to dial in the live tuning. I have it where I want it, but I feel like by taking this car through a run through Sonic, we're going to really be able to feel where the live tuning is suffering or if it's even good the way it is. So we're going to be doing that as well. Aside from that, I've already kind of figured out that the race tires are going to be best for this particular car. Now, you can use track tires on this car because it is very, very slippery. The rear end of this car slides out like crazy. And I'm telling you, this car was a WTF type of moment for me. I really didn't know that this car was as fast as it really is. This is a rocket ship of a car, and at the end of the video I'm going to show you exactly where this car ranks amongst the other fastest cars in the game. Alright, for now, let's take this out to Sonic, see how it does. Alright, so the current live tuning for this car that I've got is steering sensitivity at -3, downforce at +1, traction control off, and drift style at gas. I may need to drop the steering sensitivity even more. It is very, very responsive, and it has a very tight turning radius. The second you touch the joystick, the thing wants to turn super, super sharp. So that's actually a good thing in this game. However, controlling the car, especially someone that has like an average skill level, it makes it very, very tough. So we're going to leave it here for now, but I'm going to take it through Sonic and we'll see how it does. Yeah, this thing is off the line fast, man. So fast. I like it. I'm a fan. Alright, here we go. First turn. Absolutely perfect. It's so touchy, man. So touchy. The steering is just absolutely insane on this car. Oh Jesus! I hit the clip spot. That's alright. We're gonna roll with it. Turn! Oh my goodness. All right. Despite having these issues, I bet you we still put up a time in the 30s. That's legit how fast this car is. You can break the rear end loose just by turning. I didn't even initiate the drift mechanic on that. Crazy. I definitely think the steering needs to go down. Not too bad, not too bad. I could have taken that a little bit differently, a little faster, but that's all right. It is what it is. We're gonna keep going. Like I said, we're not necessarily going for a time here. We're just trying to figure out the steering a little bit. It's just so touchy on the steering. Notice how I'm kind of shaking it back and forth. Look, I broke loose there, didn't even initiate drift. Yeah, it's super, super loose in the back end. I think we may need to do 2 things. adjust the steering just a little bit, and then maybe increase the downforce. Because we're losing traction like crazy. Looks like we're on track to maybe run a time in the 30s. We're going to be close. It's going to be really close. Here we go, 36, 37. After all those mistakes, it was in the 40s. We made a whole bunch of mistakes in that race. We got clipped on that right before the jump and still ran at 242. The car is absolutely crazy. It is insane how fast this car is. Seriously, I had no freaking clue. I tested the Lamborghini Huracan Spider, and that car sucks. I mean, it really wasn't good at all. I really didn't enjoy driving it. This thing, however, Jesus. All right, what we need to do here is adjust this live tuning. I'm gonna increase this downforce by 2. We're gonna up it to +3, and then we're gonna drop the steering sensitivity 1 notch. We're just gonna see how this works. I'm gonna run it on Sonic again. I'll be back to you right at the end of that race. All right, significant improvements using the new live tuning. We ran at 239, and I don't even think that's as best as I can do. I still made a couple of mistakes here and there within that race. So even though I made a few mistakes similar to the first race, I ran 2 seconds faster with the new live tuning. The car was much more controllable, so that's where we're gonna leave it. Now the only thing left to do is make sure that we're using the correct gearbox, and for that we're gonna take this over to one of my favorite spots to test gearboxes, the windy hill that's in the race area. Let's go. All right, so what I'm looking for here is a gearbox that doesn't bang the rev limiter the entire time going up these hills, but also doesn't bog. And when I say bog, it means that it's shifted into a too high of a gear, and then it doesn't give the appropriate power that you would need. And when it shifts into a lower gear, the RPMs go all the way up again, and it can't find that happy medium. So this hill is really good to test those things. So I'm going to use the 8-speed first, then we'll run the 7 and the 6, and we'll see how this thing does. All right, that was actually really solid around that turn. I took the turn terribly, but that's okay. Wow, it holds a really good speed there. Doesn't shift wildly or doesn't do anything that I'm not expecting, which I really like. All right, that one's good. 8-speed actually is very good. Oh my goodness. What is happening to me right now? Jesus. Anyways, let's go ahead and try the 7, see how that goes. Here we go, 7-speed, coming up. Actually keeps the RPMs high, not too bad. See, it bogs a little bit on that very top section. It just, 5th gear is just not the right gear for that turn. And the car wants to be in 5th gear, but it shouldn't be. The 7's just not gonna be the right one. Let's take the 6 up it just to try, but I'm pretty sure the 8 is gonna be the one we need. All right, 6-speed, here we go. RPMs are a lot lower than they were with the 7 and the 8, but it feels pretty good. Shifts to 4th halfway through there. Has to shift back to 3rd on that corner. Hard to tell on that one because there was a lot of traffic in the way. But I know that I don't like the shift on that first turn. So definitely the 8-speed is the way to go. It's definitely going to give the fastest results. You can tell by the way the transmission reacts around these turns that in tighter turn situations, which is when you need the car to react the way you need it to, the 8-speed is just going to perform better. So let's go ahead and talk about the entire track build. I'll put up the build card and we will show you the whole thing. Here we go. All right, so we're starting out with the 710 horsepower, 3.9 liter V8 engine. With that, we've got Ultimate Plus Engine Parts, Ultimate Dual Turbo, and the Ultimate 5x3 pound NOS. The Super Track Suspension, the Elite Brakes, the Elite Race Tires, Elite Plus Clutch, Elite Plus 8-speed gearbox, and the Super Track Differential, and you've got NOS refills and NOS duration. As far as the live tuning goes, you're looking at steering sensitivity -4. You can actually do -5 if you'd like. It feels a little bit like this would help an average or a below average driver if you had it all the way down, but I'm gonna go with -4. Downforce is gonna be a +3, and then traction control is off and drift style is gas. All right, let's get back to the garage and see if we can't build this thing into a drag monster. All right, to convert this into a drag car, there's a few pieces that you need to change. The first being the NOS. You definitely want a 1x15 pound NOS tank. Track suspension, but we're gonna leave that. That's exactly how we had it. And then you wanna change the tires to drag tires. This allows you to go real fast in a straight line from a dead stop. Now the gearbox we're gonna have to test and see which one gives us our better quarter mile. But aside from that, everything else is the same as the track build. But I'll recap this and I'll give you a build card as soon as we're done with this drag test. All right, before we test the gearboxes, let's take a look at the live tuning. Steering sensitivity is not very important for a drag build. You're not really turning at all. But the downforce is. So we want to drop the downforce all the way down. That's going to give us our best quarter mile time. So now, once we have that, let's test out these gearboxes. So let's change. We've right now got the 8-speed. Let's go ahead and swap to the 7 and see what happens here with our quarter mile. It's the same exact quarter mile with the 7 and the 8. So we're going to have to make a decision which one is going to be better in just a moment. Now let's try the 6-speed transmission. This one's a little bit slower on the 6-speed, and I presume that the 5-speed is also going to be slower, but let's drop it in just in case. It's slower. So it's between the 8 and the 7, and because our track build and our drag build, we want to just keep it the same so you don't have to be changing parts. We're going to keep the 8-speed transmission in here. It's going to give us the same quarter mile as the 7, and it's going to be the fastest build for the car. So that's what we're going with. Let's take a look at the build card. For the engine, it's the 710 horsepower 3.9 liter V8 again. We're using all Ultimate Plus parts with an Ultimate Dual Turbo. Now for the NOS, we're looking at a 1x15 pound tank. That is the best thing you can do for drag racing. Super Track suspension, Elite brakes, Elite drag tires, Elite Plus clutch, Elite Plus 8-speed gearbox, and the Super Track differential with NOS refills and NOS duration as your auxiliaries. Now, the live tuning is super important. You've got steering sensitivity at -4, downforce at -5. Traction control always off, and drift style at gas. All right, let's put some tire smoke on this baby and let's drift it. Oh yeah, we're definitely going for blue tire smoke. Let's get it. Here we go. All right, to turn this thing into a drift car, I'm gonna start with my rear wheel drive setup. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. This car is really, really slidey. Otherwise, I would put an all-wheel drive setup on this, but let's start with the rear wheel drive setup and see how it goes. If it doesn't really work, we're gonna switch some things around. So to do this, I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to the 5x3 pound tanks because I only use those for every other build besides the drag build, so we'll leave those on. And then as far as the suspension goes, we're gonna use the Super Speed Cross suspension. We're gonna keep the drag tires. And then lastly, we're gonna change the differential to the Pro Drift differential. All right, let's take it out and drift it around. Here we go. Wow, not bad at all. 69,000. It's not my best, obviously. 89 is my best, but 69,000, dude, is really not bad. And this car is super easy to control. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Low controller batteries. All right, so I love this drift build. This is a really, really nice drifting car. It feels really good. It's easy to control. And despite me hitting a bunch of traffic trying to get these clips, it actually feels really, really good. So let's go to the build card. Let's get you the drift build for this Lamborghini Huracan. All right, same exact engine, 710 horsepower, 3.9 liter V8. We're gonna have the Ultimate Plus engine parts with the Ultimate Dual Turbo and the 5x3 pound NOS tanks. For the suspension, we've got the Super Speed Cross suspension, Elite brakes, Elite drag tires, Elite Plus clutch, Elite Plus 8-speed gearbox, and then the Pro Drift differential. Now, as far as the auxiliaries go, you can use whatever you want, but if you're just drifting this thing around, they don't really matter. All right, as far as the live tuning settings you're gonna use, it's gonna be the same as your drag build, except your steering sensitivity needs to be maxed out. So max steering sensitivity, minimum downforce. This will help you transition the car from side to side. Traction control off, and drift style will be gas. That's it. That's the drift build. Let's take this thing in the dirt. All right, to build it for dirt, we're looking at changing the suspension to a rally suspension. Then we're gonna drop the off-road tires in it. And then we've got to put the rally differential on it. And that's it. That's a dirt build. So let's take it out and see how it does on HTV2 and Rumble like we always do. Then we can rank the car and I can show you the final dirt build after I fix the live tuning settings once we've had a chance to drive it. Here we go. HTV2. Let's get it. Oh, it's got a lot of pull off the line. Oh my goodness. I have a feeling this thing is going to be insanely fast. This thing is going to be great on the dirt as long as it's got good top speed, which we'll find out here at the bottom of this track. Oh, this thing feels great. Oh, it just doesn't have the top speed though. The fastest cars in the game for off-road get up to 140 miles an hour in that bottom section, and this one can't. It's so sad because it's so responsive everywhere else, dude. Oh my goodness. That is just so sad. Stops at 134, 135. Wow. I cannot believe it. It did not get up to 140 miles an hour, which the fastest cars in the game in the dirt do this. But it still ran a ridiculous time. It is so responsive. It's got so much traction in the dirt. It does so well in the corners. 150.94. That is insane. Absolutely insane. All right, let's take it over to Rumble. Here we go. Rumble test. Let's get it. Yeah, it takes off pretty well. Oh my goodness. Whoa. I don't know if I came over onto him or if he came over to me. Either way, he definitely suffered because of it. Look at the speed. No 140. This is not going to be a super fast time. I can already... What is happening? Okay. We're going to restart. Perfect. It warned me that my batteries were dead. And I just kept playing. All right. So I didn't say this earlier in the video, but as I suspected, we weren't going to run a good time on this. 3:17.13. It's not a terrible time, but it's really not a great one either, considering how good its time was on HTV2. So here's my assessment of it for off-road. It doesn't have the top speed to be really, really good off-road, but it is good on shorter courses. HTV2 is a very short, very tight course that has a lot of tight turns and not a lot of straight sections. This has a lot of straighter sections where you're trying to test the car's top speed, which is why I test on both of these courses. This car is decent off-road, but not good. All right. Let's take a look at the build card real quick, and then we'll sum this video up. All right, so off-road, we're going to be using the 710 horsepower 3.9 liter V8 engine again, Ultimate Plus engine parts with the Ultimate Dual Turbo, and the 5x3 pound NOS. For the suspension, we've got Rally, Super Rally suspension, Elite brakes, Elite off-road tires, Elite Plus clutch, Elite Plus 8-speed gearbox, and the Super Rally differential. Now, as far as the auxiliaries go, obviously NOS refills and NOS duration. All right, so as far as the live tuning goes, we're going to be doing a mid steering sensitivity, default steering sensitivity, which is 0, and then downforce -5, traction control off, drift style, gas. This happens to be the best way to drive this thing off-road. It felt the best, and that's what I'm going to recommend. So let's sum this thing up. All right, guys, to sum this thing up, this is an absolutely phenomenal track car. This thing is really, really good for racing. I didn't mention this earlier in the video, but I ran a 250.1 on Arian. 250 is hard to get. That is in the same ballpark as some of the fastest cars in the game. This is definitely a top 10 car. Now, I can't say that it's top 5. It's very close. I would put this in the same ballpark as the Ford GT. It is very, very close in terms of its overall speed, particularly with tracks that are a little bit shorter. It runs really, really well on tighter, turnier courses, things that you have to have a lot of acceleration and a lot of very nice turns. It does very well in that. It can compete with some of the fastest cars in the game, and if you're a better driver than the person you're racing, I think you're going to win with this particular car. So what a shock. This thing is great on the track. Absolutely phenomenal for racing. All right, for drag, it's actually decent, but it's not the best. I'd say it's close to 15th or top 15, but it's definitely not something that's going to compete with the Beetle or the Volvo 242. Now, drifting, it's actually really good for drifting. I love the way this car feels in a drift setup. You can definitely use it to 3-star all of the drift events around the map. It is capable of doing that, but it is not the highest scoring drift car in the game. Now, and then off-road, it's just kind of average at off-road. It's not terrible. It definitely is usable, and you can use it to beat all of the AI, of course, but it's definitely not top 10. It's just okay. That being said, it does run a much better time on shorter courses that don't test the top speed very much for off-road. And that's really it for this one, guys. Shout out to all the Militia subs for watching another one, and shout out to Surfy for making this dope wrap. Thank you very much, Surfy. I appreciate it. He's the guy that does all my wraps. This wrap is available on the Xbox store. You can just go in, I said store, but it's really just a community page. It's shareable. You can just go in and download it for this Lamborghini Huracan if you would like this particular wrap with my logo on it. It is there. Follow OMG Surfy when you get a chance. He is phenomenal at wrapping for Xbox. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.